Hi guys, it's Ray here from City Fan TV, and in the house tonight we've got Jennie, who you'll recognise, our ever constant Manchester City women's reporter, can I say. And we've also got two very special guests. We've got Nat and Demi, who are Brighton fans, especially Brighton women, the women's team's fans. How are you guys all doing?
Good, thank you.
Good to hear. Obviously, it's a big game this weekend for the two teams. It's Man City women's team versus Brighton's women's up in Manchester. And usual format, we'll ask 4 or 5 questions each, and we'll get a score prediction right at the end. So I'm going to start with Nat and Demi. Whoever wants to answer this can. You've had a decent start to the season, actually. I mean, it's only one game, but you've won it. You beat Birmingham 2-0. So can you give us briefly tell us how that game went for you?
For me, much improved on last season already. Like from what we've seen from last season, the lockdown seems to have kind of helped, and they seem to have, from Brighton's point of view, they seem to have gelled a lot better because things weren't going so great towards the end of last season. But enjoyed what we saw. Put up a good fight.
Yeah, what do you reckon, Demi?
What do you think?
It was really good. There was a lot of difference from last season, which I think they needed in my opinion, they needed a switch up of their gameplay and stuff. And obviously they had a few different people that we didn't normally see play, so that was quite enjoyable.
Yeah, okay. We'll come back to the new players in a minute. I'm going to ask Jennie, move over to Jennie. Obviously, Man City women beat Aston Villa 2-0 away from home. What did you think about the game, Jennie?
I thought, they were gifted the start really with the 2 goals from the mistake the Villa keeper. But on a whole, they played quite well. They did seem to tire quite easily towards the middle of the second half. And subs were on, which I think were much needed. But on a whole, they looked good. Chloe Kelly again looked a really good player, and Sam Muri's played as well, which was good because she looked good as well.
Okay, we'll move back to Natalie and Demi. So last season, briefly about give some stats out. You finished 9th, which is the same as the season before. But in the 16 games you played last season, you only won 3 games. You lost 9 out of 16, which is a fair amount, and you drew 4. But you still finished 9th. It was some people would say it's fortunate you had 3 worst teams below you, and Liverpool were pretty awful, finished bottom and got relegated. You only scored 11 goals in 16 games, and you let in 30 goals in those 16 games. So, I mean, from the outside, looking, from a distance, it doesn't look like a brilliant season, but you stayed up. How do you think last season went, and what do you think your new signings? Who are they, and what will they bring to the team this year?
And it wasn't good enough. What can we say? It wasn't a brilliant season. But the one thing that Brighton always bring to it is they always battle. Even, there's been posts on groups, who are you worried about? No, you just battle. Don't go in scared. So yeah, it wasn't a brilliant season, but we learned and hopefully can move forward from that. Saw where things went wrong, and we can only hope to do better. And certainly we, from the game that we saw on Sunday, we certainly look in much better form than we were towards the end of last season. Maybe kind of lockdown was a good thing for us at the time.
Yeah. Who are your new players then this season?
You want to talk about the new players?
One of ours.
Katie Robinson. She was quite good on Sunday.
And Inessa, isn't it?
She
scored.
Inessa, she scored on Sunday. She was really good. Who did we bring in
Did you get Lee Gwyn-Min from City? Is that the one?
Yeah, she's on loan this season, which I was actually quite excited when I saw that, because obviously a lot of the kind of bigger clubs have obviously the money to bring in players, but we still need to remember we're playing in an English league, so let's look at our local talent as well. So it's nice to have some kind of bigger names, but there are also quite a few international players within the Brighton squad as well. So we've signed in Denise O'Sullivan as well on loan for this season as well, which was only announced today. So quite a lot of new bodies to kind of obviously watch. I mean, I'm quite guilty. I don't kind of watch other teams as such, if that makes sense. I kind of tend to concentrate just on Brighton. So like obviously the City signing, I can't remember her name, you just said it, but seeing them play against each other, is a very talented player. And then, she needs a little bit of more time, I think, from what I saw on Sunday to gel. But from what I saw, there's some real potential. And it's nice to kind of, as much as it's sad to see the players leave, because obviously they're all amazing. We get on, met them quite a few times, such lovely ladies, but that's not going to keep us in the league. So it's, all teams need shaking up. You need fresh legs, and just see how we go.
I've got to quickly say that Lee's one of my favourite players, even though she didn't play that much last season, but she is an absolute character off the pitch. At her unveiling, she was great. She didn't speak much English, and then I think after the first game against United, when all the players came out to meet the fans, she was fantastic. Videos and absolutely fantastic. And if you do want to say hello to her, say Annyeong. Annyeong, that's hello in Korean. So it twists people's heads and she'll turn around and talk to you. She's really, really great. I'm going to switch to Jennie then. Obviously, City have made 5 new signings this summer, and we've talked in the past about them. But this week, the 2 that we were waiting for, Lucy Bronze and Alex Greenwood. And I just want you to give people an idea of how bigger stars they are on the world stage.
Well, I mean, what can you say about Lucy Bronze, really, that's not already been said? She's world class. She's the best right back, in my opinion. And Alex Greenwood, again, she's another good player. They've both had long careers, but because they don't play as many games as the men, they seem to go on for longer. But Lucy's been top of the game for a long time now, and she's won 3 Champions Leagues with Lyon. And I've never really seen quite so much excitement over signings. And I mean, the rumours were going round pretty much after shutdown, after lockdown's coming. So we've been waiting all this time for it to be announced. But it's just really good. And we've got the 2 Americans as well.
Yeah, I've got to quickly ask you your opinion. Because there's been a little bit of, not a lot, but there's been a little bit of rubbish on social media about Alex, because obviously she played for United, and I think it's come from a few, not many, but a few United fans. So much so, I think Alex had to turn off her Instagram notifications or messages or something. And it's not something we've really seen in the women's game before. It just feels like as it's getting bigger, as it's becoming more, it's in everybody's house now, because you can watch it on the BBC, on the FA Player and BT Sport. It's just creeping into the game, and I just want to get your opinions on that, Jennie.
Yeah, I mean, we pride in the WSL. We pride ourselves on having the crowds wherever you go. We have a good atmosphere with every away fan, whether they come to the academy or we go there. But I mean, you were at Leith Sports Village. There was niggles right at the start of the season. I don't think it's necessarily the Manchester United fans, but I do think they've got this. A lot of them are the male supporters, and they come with that same mentality as the men's team, which is wrong, because we're totally different, in our own right. we pride ourselves that you can bring your children and, you know, even from the smallest, because we don't have fights breaking out, we don't have niggles, like I say. But I don't understand them. I just think they've come since United came up last season. I think their fans brought a lot of the side to the men's game that we really don't want in the WSL.
Yeah, I will briefly say my lads I won't say it too loudly in case they hear me, but they prefer going to women's games than men's games. The atmosphere is totally different, and they really do enjoy that, which is, you know, hopefully their friends won't see this video. And but it doesn't matter if they do. It doesn't matter if they do, because, you know, it's what they enjoy. So if they enjoy the women's game, it's great. It makes no difference to me. It's football. It's football. You know.
The game itself is the same game. It's what the experience. I mean, the atmosphere at the Amex is amazing. Watching the men, yeah, we love that. But the women, it's really hard to put it into words. That the women's game, although it's the same game, it's different. It's kind of, I don't know. It's really hard to put it into words. But there's the same but different.
It's a different atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a different feeling.
I mean, I'm one of those, I get quite passionate while we're watching it. So there is some of that shouting, but not at the away fans and things. That's not okay.
That's it. I mean, we don't shout at, you know, we don't shout at the away fans. We might have a bit of banter with them, but like with Chelsea and stuff, but we don't, it's just singing, isn't it, more than anything, you know?
Exactly. And it's the referees and the linesmen that, like you would, because they're the ones that are potentially making poor decisions.
Bad decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as I said, there's no aggro between the different sets of fans. You do get passionate, and there's nothing wrong with being passionate and shouting and singing and chanting for your side. And I've not personally had too much of a bad experience with opposition fans. We're going to move on, Nat, to the next question. Obviously, you mentioned some of the, can we call them bigger clubs? The ones who've got a little bit more financial might have been buying and loaning superstars. You know, the American players that have come in, there's been a lot. I think it's 4 or 5 have come recently. And obviously City bringing Lucy Bronze and Alex Greenwood back from Lyon. Does that concern you, or do you see it as an opportunity for the women's game to just expand and to bring in more people?
As Brighton, I'm not scared, because I know that, as obviously knowing the players, they've got the passion. They're not scared to go up against these big names, because actually, if you're going scared, you're not going to win anyway. And that's something that I've always, as part of why I like to be a Brighton fan, is because actually we know, men included, we're not always like, we're kind of underdogs, but you know, there's this renowned saying of teams like Brighton. Yeah, you shouldn't be beaten by teams like Brighton, but we do, which is, you know, obviously not so much last season. But I think, yes, it can be, but so long as the players keep the same mentality of, well, they're just footballers. They might be world class, but we can still battle. We've still got opportunity. I think that's, you know, I'm not speaking for the players, because obviously I'm not them, but certainly I'm excited to watch it, you know, to see the competition keep improving with the level of skill that's come, like in each season. There is more skill. There's just better football. It's, you know, can't think of the right words to use to explain it, but
it's an improving
not
standard.
Worry. And that's only going to make the game better for everybody. The only thing I worry about with bringing in like internationals and stuff is, like what's happened in the men's league, the natural talent within our country. I can see, not that there's anything wrong with having internationals as well, much the same as we play internationally too. It's just that there's so much talent within the country, like England, that we might not necessarily see that by bringing internationals in, which potentially kind of happens in the men's game as well, I think, because there's so many people from all around the world playing in these leagues now, that are we seeing the best of British talent by bringing in internationals.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd hope. Yeah, it makes complete sense. But what I was going to say was, I hope. Fiddling with my cameras here, but it's not working. I'm actually hoping that, yes, we are bringing these people in, all these players, but there's only 12 teams in the Women's Super League, and there's 11 in the division below. So maybe that gives scope to slowly expand the league. So you keep your the British talent. The British talent still has the opportunity to shine because there's more teams coming through, and you can still have the opportunity to bring great players from overseas. So it could be in a few years' time we see some 16 teams in each league, and so those extra teams,
which
hopefully. Well, we lost you.
What would be lovely is to see this. What would be amazing would be to see the Women's Super League on par with the Premier League. Those that we are completely equals, because it's what.
So the women go and support the men, but it would be nice for the men to go and support the women.
Yeah, I think one of I think one of the problems with it last season was if you support the men's, it's logistics as well, and it's up to the FA to try and work something out to make it more. To make it possible, I talked in the past about I went to a men's away game. It was at Norwich, so we went down to Norwich, and the women's game was the next day. It was an early start, so the men's game was in the evening, late kick-off, and the women's game I think was a lunchtime kick-off in Reading. And it's hard work, and it becomes very expensive to when you have to run around the country.
Exactly. But certainly from that perspective, we last season the men's Wolves game got changed, and it was the Brighton ladies were playing Spurs, and I gave my kids the choice: do you want to go and watch the men? Do you want to go and watch we want to watch the ladies? So, they have our full support, and we do as many away games as we can as well. So, I kind of. It's just the excitement. It's different, It's as much as I love watching the men play, I much prefer watching the ladies because it is exciting. Yeah, the build-up's better. There's much better fan interaction. It's a much better game. And I personally, because I run the Albion Women Instagram page with a friend of mine, and we obviously talk to other teams as well. And we do our best to make sure we go and speak to the away fans, when they're at Crawley, and it's very, very different. Yes, there might be a little bit of banter, but nothing negative, and I want that to stay within the game as well.
Okay, no problems. We'll move on to Jennie. So
slightly off topic.
Quickly ask Jennie, two things that happened to City this week that are in the news. Obviously, 11 players in the England squad. It's absolutely fantastic. And Lauren Hemp winning the Young Player of the season for last season. What do you think about those two?
Yeah, we had, was it 7 or 8 England players anyway prior. We've just added, obviously, the 3 over the summer. It has to be good. Partly because when we can go, it'll bring the fans in. The more talk there is, the more build-up, the more hype around Manchester City women, more people might be tempted to go and watch. Lauren Hemp she was class last season. We saw that all season. Unfortunately, she got injured in the Community Shield against Chelsea. But she'll be back in a few weeks, and we'll be cheering her on.
Yeah, it's a shame she was injured. Otherwise, we'd have had 12, and it's it is mind blowing for one club to have that. And English players, which is great. It's not just foreign stars. We'll move back to Natalie and Demi. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about the game. That's what we're here for. How do you see the game going at the weekend? It's on Sunday. And which City players scare you the most?
But if we go in with the same positive mindset, it shouldn't be bad as what I think it's going to be. So I know there's some big stars playing for City, like Lucy Bronze, Alex Greenwood. But then there's got some like more, like they've had a longer career of playing football, so they've got their experience. Like Jill Scott, she's got her experience of playing football.
I think it's going to be a good game. I know Brighton aren't going to just be like defeatists and like we've lost this already. They will battle like they do every game. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, we've seen one game. It's hard to predict when you've only seen like kind of one game of the season already. But from what I've seen, I'm thinking it's going to be quite an entertaining game.
Good. I'll ask the same question to Jennie. So Jennie, how do you think it's going to go? After you've seen a couple of games for City this season already, and are there any Brighton players that scare you?
Well, I think League Women, we know what she's capable of. We saw it, in the few games that she did play for us. So if she plays, we know what, she's likely to do. Again, it's hard because you just don't know what team's going to be picked on either side. And it is still very early in the season, but I agree with Nat. I think it'll be a good game because Brighton always give a game. When I went to see him away at Brighton, we won. I think it was 4-1, but they battled. They made us battle for them 4 goals. It wasn't like last week against Aston Villa when the keeper was gifting us 2 goals. They were hard-fought goals, and Manchester City had to battle, and I think it'll be the same.
Yeah, I'll stick with you, Jennie. I'll ask the last question for you. I think the score prediction.
I don't think City will run away with it, but I would go for 3-1.
3-1. Okay, fair dues. And Natalie and Demi, what are you going to go for a score prediction?
What do you think?
I'd say about 2-1.
To who?
City.
I see. I was thinking 1-1. Just go nice and light and fair.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like 2-2 or something. I'd like to see quite a few goals for both sides because that's obviously what brings the entertainment to the game. Absolutely.
Guys, I've got to say a big thank you for helping us with this preview. Everybody from Jennie, Demi and Nat. And if you want to follow Nat, do you want to give a shout out to your Instagram page, Natalie?
It's Albion Women, on just Albion Women. A lot of the players follow it because Brighton still haven't given the ladies their own Instagram page yet. So they've now got a Twitter up and running, but the Albion Women is run by myself and my friends. So just find us, give us a follow. Yeah,
I'll try and put obviously the details in the description box below when the video comes out. But I've got to say massive thanks to Jennie and to Natalie and Demi. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
And everybody, I was going to say as we finish, if you're new to the channel, please, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. We're putting out videos. Some days we put 3 or 4 videos out on women's football. It's not just the things like this, the previews. We do post-match reaction with Jennie. When we're allowed to go back to games, Jennie will be there talking to fans before and after the game. And we'll do we're hopefully going to start doing some player profiles in the next few weeks, starting off at City, but then looking around other clubs as well. And just trying to, bring you as much information, as many videos about women's football as possible in the FA Women's Super League. So stick with us, guys. Give us a subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified as soon as new videos come out.